Hello everyone and welcome back to Cycling World. If you're excited for the upcoming Tour de France, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and let us know your predictions in the comments because the latest developments coming from UAE Team Emirates have given cycling fans plenty to talk about. As the countdown to the Grand Départ in Barcelona continues, UAE management has once again made headlines with some fascinating comments regarding Isaac Del Toro. The young Mexican continues to attract attention after another impressive run of performances, and inside the team there appears to be growing confidence that he could play a much bigger role than many initially expected. At the same time, another story is quietly developing around two major names expected to feature at this year's Tour de France. One is considered among the biggest contenders for the podium, while the other is one of Tadej Pogačar's most trusted lieutenants and a crucial piece of UAE's mountain train. Their participation in the race has suddenly become a topic of discussion, creating uncertainty at a moment when both riders should be focused entirely on final preparations. Meanwhile, UAE continues to send strong signals about its ambitions for July. With Pogačar leading the charge and Del Toro rapidly emerging as one of the most exciting talents in the peloton, the team's confidence appears higher than ever as cycling's biggest race draws closer. One of the most unexpected stories emerging just days before the Tour de France involves two Belgian stars who are supposed to be focused entirely on their final preparations for the biggest race of the season. Instead, both Remco Evenepoel and Tim Wellens have suddenly found themselves at the centre of a controversy that nobody saw coming. And the reason this story matters so much is because of who these riders are. Evenepoel is expected to be one of the main contenders for a podium finish, and perhaps one of the few riders capable of putting pressure on the established hierarchy behind Tadej Pogačar and Jonas Vingegaard. Every aspect of his preparation has been carefully designed around reaching peak condition for July. Tim Wellens, meanwhile, remains one of the most valuable support riders in the entire peloton. The Belgian has become a crucial component of UAE Team Emirates, often serving as one of the first riders to increase the pace, control difficult situations, and help shape the race before the decisive mountain battles begin. That is why the latest developments have created so much attention. Neither rider is struggling physically, neither rider has suffered a major crash, and neither appears to be dealing with form issues. Yet both now face an unexpected situation that has generated significant discussion inside Belgian cycling circles and could potentially impact the final days before the Grand Départ. For teams chasing success at the Tour de France, even the smallest disruption can become a concern. And when the riders involved are someone of Evenepoel stature and someone as important to UAE as Wellens, the entire peloton starts paying attention. The coming days will be crucial because what initially looked like a routine matter has suddenly become one of the most talked about stories ahead of cycling's biggest event. The most interesting message coming from UAE Team Emirates, however, has nothing to do with Tim Wellens or Remco Evenepoel. It comes directly from the way Joxean Matxín is talking about Isaac Del Toro ahead of the Tour de France, because when team managers discuss young riders, they usually choose their words carefully. They talk about development, potential, and future opportunities. What they do not usually do is openly suggest that a rider possesses the qualities required to win a Grand Tour. Yet that is exactly the direction Matxín's comments seem to point toward. The UAE boss made it clear that Del Toro's talent allows him to aim for absolutely anything in professional cycling. More importantly, he explained that the team approaches the Tour de France knowing they have a genuine alternative option available if circumstances require it. That statement alone says a great deal about the level of confidence that exists inside the organisation. After all, this is not a team lacking talent. UAE Team Emirates is filled with world-class riders, Grand Tour contenders, and proven champions. For Del Toro to be singled out in this way speaks volumes about how highly he is regarded internally. What makes this particularly significant is that Del Toro is no longer being viewed simply as one of the sport's brightest prospects. The conversation has evolved. He is now being discussed as a rider capable of influencing the biggest races in the world and potentially leading a Grand Tour campaign of his own in the near future. His performances throughout the last two seasons have accelerated that process dramatically. The climbing ability is obvious, the racing intelligence continues to improve, and the maturity he has displayed under pressure has impressed many of the most experienced figures in the sport. That is why more and more people inside cycling believe Del Toro is not just one of the future stars of the peloton. He is already becoming one of its most important riders. And when the manager of the strongest team in the world openly talks about having a plan B built around you, it becomes impossible to ignore the possibility that the next Grand Tour winner may already be standing inside the UAE Team Emirates bus. While UAE Team Emirates continues to attract attention because of Pogačar and the growing importance of Isaac Del Toro, another question is beginning to dominate discussions ahead of the Tour de France. How exactly does Visma-Lease bike plan to beat this UAE squad? Because make no mistake, Visma knows perfectly well that matching Pogačar rider for rider is almost impossible. If they want to challenge for the yellow jersey, they will need to win through collective strength, tactical aggression, and relentless pressure across 3 weeks of racing. That is precisely why Jonas Vingegaard arrives, surrounded by one of the strongest support teams in the entire race. In the mountains, he will have climbers capable of surviving deep into the final climbs and helping him when the race reaches its most critical moments. Matteo Jorgenson is coming off another impressive season and has established himself as one of the most complete stage racers in the peloton. Sepp Kuss remains one of the most respected mountain domestiques of his generation, a rider who has repeatedly proven his value in Grand Tour. Alongside them, Bruno Armirail and Davide Piganzoli add further climbing depth to a team that knows the battle against UAE will likely be decided at altitude. But Visma's strategy goes far beyond the mountains. The Dutch squad also brings exceptional power on flat and rolling terrain. Victor Kampenaerts, Per Strand-Hagens and Edoardo Affini provide the kind of horsepower needed to control breakaways, increase the pace in crosswinds, and create chaos before the climbs even begin. And that may ultimately be their biggest weapon, because defeating Pogačar is not simply about attacking him on the final ascent. It is about isolating him, forcing UAE to work, creating pressure day after day, and trying to weaken the strongest team in the race before the decisive mountain stages arrive. Visma understands that this tour could become a war of attrition, and if they are going to challenge the most dominant rider in the world, they know they must attack with numbers, tactics, and teamwork from the very first week of the race. And when we step back and look at the bigger picture, one thing becomes very clear. The 2026 Tour de France is shaping up to be far more than a simple duel between Tadej Pogačar and Jonas Vingegaard. Yes, those two remain the headline acts. Yes, they are still the riders everyone expects to fight for the yellow jersey, but the teams surrounding them may end up playing an equally important role in deciding who stands on the top step of the podium in Paris. On one side, UAE Team Emirates arrives with extraordinary depth. They have the strongest rider in the world in Pogačar, one of the most exciting young talents in cycling in Isaac Del Toro, and a roster packed with riders capable of controlling almost any race situation. More importantly, they have flexibility. They can defend, they can attack, and they can adapt to almost any scenario the Tour throws at them. On the other side stands Visma-Lease bike, a team that understands better than anyone that beating Pogačar requires more than simply having strong legs. It requires strategy, patience, and the willingness to take risks. That is why they have assembled a squad designed to put pressure on UAE from the first week until the final mountain stage. And that is what makes this tour so fascinating. Because while Pogačar may start as the favourite, Grand Tours are rarely decided by predictions. Crashes, crosswinds, tactical battles, mountain attacks, and moments of weakness can completely transform the race in a matter of minutes. What seems certain, however, is that Isaac Del Toro's role will be one of the biggest stories of the race. Whether he acts as the perfect super domestique, an aggressive tactical weapon, or an emergency plan B for UAE, the Mexican appears ready to take another major step forward on cycling's biggest stage. The countdown is almost over. The teams are ready. The strategies are in place. And in just a few days, the roads of France will reveal whether anyone can stop Pogačar, Del Toro, and UAE Team Emirates from taking control of the biggest race in the world.